Okay, I think we all set up to kick off our first Women in Machine Learning and Data Science Ukrainian chapter. So hello everyone. This is an inaugural meetup which is made together with the Paris and Poznań chapters of Women in Machine Learning and Data Science. And today we would like to welcome everyone to our first meetup. Let me briefly introduce the agenda of today's meetup. I will give a short welcome and presentation of the new chapter of Women in Machine Learning and Data Science. After that, I will hand over to our Poznań and Paris chapters. They will give a short introduction, what they are doing, who they are. And after that, we will have three brilliant speakers with talks ranging from machine learning in production to the journey of Christina from marketing to the tech area. And we will finish our talks with Anastasia, who will tell us about the war in Ukraine and how the courage of the Ukrainian people reshapes the geopolitical landscape. By the end, if you have some questions, we will have a short Q&A session, and we conclude this first meetup of our Ukrainian chapter. Baby. So the Women in Machine Learning and Data Science is a global organization, and the mission is of this organization is to support and promote women and gender minorities who are practicing, studying, and interested in machine learning and in data science. So I am based in Germany, in Berlin, and my first experience with women in machine learning data science come from Berlin. And in general, this organization is scattered around 30 countries. So we have 100 chapters, and we are around 67,000 members. Quite a huge organization, isn't it? So, and today we welcome the next chapter, the new one, the Ukrainian chapter, and we know because of the war we're doing this online, but as soon as possible we will create an in-person events, meetups in Kyiv. And my personal dream is to extend this Ukrainian chapter to Lemberg and to my home city, Odessa. So how the journey came, how I decided to start the Ukrainian chapter. So this is quite a personal story. So after the beginning of the war, like everyone, I was hibernated, and I canceled all my public speaking, all the initiatives, and I was thinking, so right now this is not the time. It's not the time to start anything like this. But everything changed after I went to Ukraine, and I was impressed by Ukrainian people. I was impressed by the bravery, resilience, and strength of the people there. And when I come back to Berlin, I was thinking, so the more Ukrainian stuff they destroy, the more Ukrainian stuff we will create. So I decided to contact Erin, and so Ukrainian chapter of Women in Machine Learning in Data Science was born. So, and we, additionally to the global mission of women in machine learning and data science, the mission of Ukrainian chapter is to promote Ukrainian female machine learning and data science practitioners on the international level. And I will explain why we want to do this and how we will do this. And we will organize online and on-site events as soon as it will be possible. So we aim to mentor Ukrainian women who would like to start a career in machine learning and data science. And additionally, because of the situation, so we would like to create a mentorship program for female members of the Ukrainian Armed Force who would like to change their careers to machine learning and data science after the war. So, and in general, we would like to learn from each other. We want to empower and support each other as we always do. And here we go with the female task forces behind the organizers of the Ukrainian chapter. So we have 5 members as an organizational team. It's me, I'm Larisa Zingirieva, Anastasia, who will present today in her talk the war in Ukraine. Natalia Remesh, Roxolana Diachuk, and Mariana Diachuk. So let me briefly introduce each of us, just a couple of sentences. I'm Larisa Zingirieva. I have a software engineering background, and I have a PhD in augmented data quality. Right now, I'm MLOps data and software architect at the consulting company InnoQ in Germany. And if you're into the MLOps field, then you probably know me as an MLOps.org creator. And for the future, I'm also the organizer of Women in Data and AI Summer Festival here in Berlin, which will take place next year. So the second co-organizer, or brilliant Anastasia Triputin, she's an entrepreneur, researcher, and AI enthusiast. She's co-founder and CTO of 2 startups, Data Unblocked and Myriad. She's a frequent public speaker and will present today her talk. Natalia Remesh. Natalia is Director of Platform Engineering at PayPal. She's also a co-organizer of Go Agile in Sweden. Yes, she's Ukrainian, but she's based in Sweden, Copenhagen. She holds a Master of Computer Science from the Donetsk State Institute of Artificial Intelligence, and she's a frequent, brilliant public speaker. And I learned her at one of conferences 2021. Yeah. Roxolana. Unfortunately, Roxolana couldn't join today but she's a big data engineer at Captify. Additionally, she's a diversity and inclusion ambassador for the in her company. She's also data engineering and community lead and mentor at Women Who Code in Kyiv chapter. So she has an experience with female tech communities, and she's a great speaker. And honestly, she was recommended to me by other communities. Her sister, Mariana Diachuk, she's a senior data scientist at Moneyflow. She's a data science lead at Women Who Code in Kyiv chapter. She's also frequent public speaker at at various conferences and meetups, and she was also recommended to me by other communities. So you can see that we have a great women who are organizing these Ukrainian chapter. We are all experienced members in professionally, as also in with regarding the participation in other female tech communities. So I'm pretty sure we will rock the next year with a great meetups, online, offline. So it was us. As organizational note, so we are a young chapter. We are a quite young chapter, and everything what we will organize will be organized through the Meetup web page. So please find our group and join our group on the Meetup website. So you will get, every time you will get notified about the upcoming events, so you won't miss them. Well, today's meetup wouldn't be possible without other brilliant women who reached me on the Slack community and on LinkedIn, and said, so hey, we can do the first meetup together, and here we go, here we are. So please welcome two brilliant chapters of Women in Machine Learning Data Science, Poznań and Paris. And Poznań, the stage is yours. Please present yourself.
Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity to join and share this great experience together. My name is Agnieszka Kamińska, and together with my great colleagues, Zuzanna Kuniek, Barbara Sobkowiak, and Martyna Urbaniak-Trzeciak, we run Poznań WiMLDS chapter. We were lucky enough to start in 2018, so we had few on-site meetings and had a chance to start building a community like during live events. But since pandemic, we operate fully online. And as a group supporting diversity and inclusivity, we were trying different formats to give a spotlight to people like more senior lecturers, but also we organized some lightning talks for the first-time speakers. We were striving our best also to help people how to like self-develop in the field. So we were organizing mastermind program, some panel discussions, and plenty technical workshops. So that's like the general picture of our local activity. The best platform to connect with us is LinkedIn, mentioned on the bottom of the slide. We can go to the next slide. Thank you. And we perceive supporting Ukrainians as a part of our activity, because apart from being tech experts, we are first and foremost humans. So many individuals in our community were striving to help the way it was the most accurate at the time, and like considering our location. So people were hosting guests at their homes, trying to find help finding an accommodation, support in a developing career in Poland as a new country with new language and some legal constraints. So in general, we are like distributed network of individuals, but we are together in this solidarity with you. So we are really happy to be here today. Thank you. That was our introduction. We can go to our great colleagues from Paris who will take the stage now.
Thank you very much, Larissa. Thank you very much, Agnieszka. Right, so I'm Natalie Chernetska, and I represent here WiMLDS Paris. And obviously, when we learned that the chapter was opened in Ukraine, I was personally flabbergasted, and I said, these people are invincible. Let's do something together. And so here we are. So very briefly, WiMLDS Paris was founded in 2017, and we are the third largest chapter in the world. We can be connected by Meetup page, Twitter, LinkedIn, and it's a team of 4 people. So that's me. Marie Saksik is together with me today, in charge of logistics, and we have Chloe Agat-Zankot and Caroline Xavier, who are our 2 co-founders, but they cannot make it today. Next slide, please. So what we do, well, we are like all WiMLDS chapters, we organize events where we feature prominent speakers, but also we like very much to find first-time speakers, what we call hidden gems. We also organize, for example, brown bag lunch reading sessions. We share a paper co-written or written by a woman every Friday, and we organize events with other groups, both online and offline. Next slide, please. So we are based in Paris, so we're based in Western Europe. So for us, we think it's important to amplify Ukrainian voices and to raise awareness about the war against Ukraine in Western Europe, because for many people, it seems very, very far away, right? So we organized an event back in April where Anastasia presented, and we also shared quite a few resources, how you can help people in Ukraine to defend against this Russian aggression. And so we share our insights on Medium, and you can go and find this information if something. This is very important, we believe. And I like to repeat that WiMLDS is not a political organization, but we are members of a civil society, and it's our duty, like members of civil society, to support Ukraine because they're fighting also for us. Next slide, please. And besides, obviously, as you already learned and you're already guessing, Ukraine has extraordinary data science. It's a huge country with very vibrant technical community, and I have been learning enormous amount from all of you, so from my Ukrainian connections, and they produce extraordinary research. This is one I would like to share. You know, it was a research done based on open data by Texti, and they identified by using, as I said, different open source materials, all kind of individuals and organizations in the Western Europe who are against Ukraine, who support Russia. So you can go on this website and check, and they explain methodology. You can download database. So there's quite a lot of extraordinary data science research coming out of the Ukraine even now. So really, this country is extremely resilient, and we are obviously going to support them until they win. So let's go to the next slide. So for us, you can connect with us on every social media possible, and maybe something is important that someone asked whether recording are being shared and whether slides are being shared. Yes, indeed. We produce a summary of our meetup. Normally it takes us a couple of weeks, maybe take a bit longer because of the holiday period, but we normally produce it with slides and with recordings, and then we share it with other communities, so you can always go back and check. So I think I finished with WiMLDS Paris presentation, and I give the floor back to Larissa, who is the master moderator in chief of this event. Thank you.
So thank you very much. Poznań and Paris for making this meetup happen. the courage and the sisterhood between all of us. It was, just, undescribable. So I just, I'm missing words to explain how important it was to me that you reached me and provide me with energy and help to set up this first meetup. So let's go on, and we will start with our talks in shortly. And so I just want to mention that we have already some social media games. So Paris, Poznań, the global women in machine learning data science. We all have social media presence, so please tweet and retweet about this meetup and all the upcoming meetups. Also, me, Christina, and Natalie, I think many of us are already on social media, so please give us a follow and see what we will create in the future. Now, so we are all set up for our first talk, which will be done by Iana Iatsun. She is a project manager for applications with artificial intelligence and Banque de France, and she will tell us about the machine learning in production, which is my personal favorite topic. So how to get from the data scientist to the final user. So Iana, the stage is yours. I will stop sharing.
Thank you a lot, Larissa. I'm sharing my screen. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you a lot. Previous winter, I had the chance to realize my dream. I had a wonderful opportunity to go to the wonderful island of the La Réunion. I believe some of you don't know where it is, so I put a small map, and we started our trip from Paris, where we took a public transport 4 hours in advance. And we arrived to the airport 3 hours in advance. Everything was smooth, fantastic. And when we arrived to border control, it was a nightmare. Once we arrived to the border control, it announced us that we have to wait. We have waited for 1 hour and a half. And after 1 hour and a half, we arrived to the table sign that indicated us that we have still to wait 2 hours more. At the end, we passed the control and we ran on the corridors of Paris Charles de Gaulle to check in to get to our aircraft. Once we were inside, doors closed behind us. What did it happen? Why? My name is Iana Iatsun, and today I will present you the constraints about machine learning models, how to put them in production. What are the constraints of the companies and how to get the most value of these machine learning models. Here you can see briefly my CV. I did a master's degree in electronics at the Kyiv National Institute, Kyiv Polytechnic Institute, that is National Technical University of Ukraine. I did a PhD in image and signal processing at University of Poitiers. And I have worked 5 years as research and development engineer in several companies in France, and today I'm a project manager at Banque de France. I will briefly present you my employer today. because Banque de France, it's not a random bank, it's a central bank, and it has 4 missions, 3 official missions, and 1 mission that can be added. First of all, it's monetary strategy. I believe not a lot of people know what it is. It's all researchers, economists, researchers, and forecasts for a system of how to maintain inflation at the good level. Like today is a big kind of crisis, and we have to put in the orders the different regulation in order inflation comes back to 2%. Second part is guardian of the currency. Banque de France is the company that prints the most number of banknotes around other European Union countries, or countries part of the Euro system, that is central banks. Third mission is financial stability. We have double mission with supervision and helping. We help households and also companies to refinance them. We are present actor for companies to ask for credits, and economic services where we work together with different enterprises in France to help them to understand what is going wrong or what is going correctly in way and way counts. So this is the role of Banque de France. And what Banque de France does with artificial intelligence? Because we supervise this, Banque de France supervises all banks and assurance field in France, and these enterprises use a lot of things to sell their clients or to produce or to get value from their numbers. So we have this role to be also at the point of with artificial intelligence and data science, how to we use these tools. This is first thing. And second, we also the guardians of the public money for France. So if any fraudulent transaction or fraud is happening, we have to be able to indicate it and to find it. And for sure, there are a lot of other things where data science, machine learning can be of hands in Banque de France. So today, to go to the example, I decided to speak about face recognition. However, I would like to precise it once that face recognition is not the application that we develop at the Banque de France. First, so when we start to develop our face recognition system, how does it work usually? First of all, we need to have data, better images with faces. We try to analyze them if they're enough representative, if they have the same size, a lot of data preparation, annotation. It's a big deal of work to analyze our data and prepare our data. Once it's prepared, we go to model training. We train our model, we tune our hyperparameters, we overtune, we change models. This is, I think, a lot of data science enthusiasts know this process. From prepared data, we go, we train, we come back, and after this, we evaluate and validate the model, and that's it. Winning. We have received our face recognition machine learning. Work is done. How does it work for face recognition? For face recognition, we will have, for one person, we will have several images that will present the same person from different points of view in order they have to be complementary. And we will have a lot of these people, like thousands of people. And with this, we will nourish our model. And during learning, every image is annotated and it's supervised learning. For which this image, we will assign this label, Angelina Jolie. And this will iterate to another model to converge. To converge, it means to obtain good results from this classification. It's a standard classification problem. How we will use it afterwards? Afterwards, we will have an image and we will go to this database, and the database will say us if does it know this face already or maybe it doesn't know. We can ask for people who have already been to this database, and it will produce as a vector. Here for simplification, I put the name of the person. From this face, you will produce a vector, and we will compare this vector and say, is this a good person? So we can use the people who have participated in images of people who have participated in learning process and some of it that didn't participate. The point is to obtain this vector that can be describe this face of this person. Everything is well. I think from till now, I didn't say anything that you haven't learned yet, that you didn't know. However, the problems with machine learning, it's that machine learning is based on the point that we use historical data to nourish our model. Once we have it, it means it's already in the past. We don't have this data anymore. And we would like to use this model that is learned on the historical data, the data of the history, in the future, something that we haven't seen yet. So it's pretty sure, and it's true, with our model will work correctly for the faces that are similar to the faces that we have been presented in our database, learning data set. However, once we have, for example, aging process, or big glasses, or sunglasses, or masks, like in my case, where half of the face is hidden and it's impossible to recognize only from the upper part, face recognition algorithm model doesn't work anymore. It's impossible to predict and to recognize the person when one of his elements, and in the case of airport disaster, was mask. So it means usually in the world we say that the model drifted. However, we have to take care saying this, because it's not our model that drifted. It's our model didn't change. It's the world that changed, and it provoked this slump in model performance, as you can see here, the average recognition rate per month. And this slump in performance, it should be a red light for you. A red light that your model doesn't work anymore correctly. It doesn't fulfill your expectations. It doesn't do anymore what it was created for. And I would like to propose you to compare your machine learning model to the car engine. If you have your car engine, it was created to interact with the external world. It was not created to be somewhere in garage and not used at all. It was created to put in the car. That is your software application. It's rare that machine learning model is an application itself. Machine learning model usually is a part of a big software, so it is integrated in software and it interacts with the world. How does it interact with the world? When it interacts with the world, it uses data from the external world. That is here, gasoline. Usually you go to put some gasoline in your car to move forward. And when your car or your machine learning model interacts with the external world, you need to have your monitoring dashboards, because as soon as a problem appears, like when masks were imposed for us to use in everyday activities, we had to know about the problems that we can have. And second, our world is in permanent changes. So there are new regulations that appears. Like, for example, nowadays in Paris, it's forbidden to enter if your car pollutes a certain amount, or if it's old enough, or if your engine is not performed enough. It's not a deal. However, the regulation changes. And cars have usual regular controls, so your model has to have. And not last but not least, if there is an expected problem in production, but anything can happen, you have to have a solution how to solve this problem. We said you can imagine that machine learning code is a tiny part of all other things that take part in making your machine learning model goes to production. First of all, there is a configuration and understanding of the data verification, features collection. Once we created model, There are also everything about infrastructure, where we think about machine resource management, analysis tool, process management, and we have to ensure that our infrastructure works. And last but not least, monitoring. Only monitoring will help us to know what is going on with our machine learning model. When we speak, it brings us to the subject of machine learning project lifecycle. When you start a machine learning project, first of all, you start with the scope of the project. What is X and what is Y? What are your entrance data and what is outside data? What you would like to predict? How would you like to use your data? What is expected from your project? What's the scope? Once it's done, you have to define and explore data that is available. And if it's inclusive, if it's all cases are covered, there are a lot of important questions that have to be posed today when we speak about data. Once you have, you organize and analyze the data, annotate as well. This data give you the opportunity, once your data is ready, you go to train your model. To train your model, optimize parameters and validate. And as you remember, maybe the first part, this is done. For first part, that's it. That is what we would like to do by data science. But there are other parts that are not less important. That is deploying production and monitor and maintain system. And this is once you put your model in production, there are maybe some feedbacks that you would like to give about your data. Your data is changing with time, and also about your model, because your model is changing with time. Once your data is changing, your model is change its behavior. And again, these are interactive process, as we have already said. I would like to concentrate today really on these parts, on the deployment and its feedback that goes to the data and to the modeling. Because once you put in the model, once you put in production, what is important? It's important to version your models, version your data, version your code. It's a part of the work that has to be done. It's once you said, okay, there is a problem over where we have to come back to previous version, it should be possible. And this is what is important part about the MLOps. I'm wondering what Larissa will say me afterwards. Model deployment also, there are some rules about doing it. And once you put it in software, it's not alone on the forest. There is a security test, unit test, process flow, and logs. And I'm saying this like the person working in the bank. I'm sure you that there is no way that you put your machine learning model itself without any security checks, without checking who is able to access this model and how far it can go penetrate in your system. It's important. And for sure, once you put your model, there is a point that you have to monitor performance, availability, and quality. Does it respect all these things? Are these performance the same as you expected? So all these practices, they are combined in a kind of good practice that is called machine learning ops, machine learning operations. This technical word, MLOps, that was created 10 years ago. It was DevOps, but was created this part that brings the development from development people who created and planned the code to the operations who configure the server, release, and make possible these iterations quite easily. And today, with intention of model data, it's important to make all this work together, to add this machine learning part to operations, because only this will help you to maintain your machine learning in production up to date. How does it work usually? People machine learning, they create in your favorite framework model. They give it to developers and say, okay, you can take something from it. Developers have to spend a lot of time to recreate the model, sometimes lost the sense of already done work, almost recreated in another, like for example, Java. And once it's done, we will do package and standard operations. It's a very complicated way because a lot of time is lost between machine learning and development. And who say time loss, it means your data, your model, it's already obsolete. It's already not interesting to have it in production. So all these have to be streamlined from machine learning up to your final user. And this is done. This is said, it's important to have containers that can help you to bring your machine learning process to the final user through development and operations the most optimal way. And it's, I think, like in my company, I do this job. This is, as I said, applications with artificial intelligence, data science. This is part of my job to ensure that models that have been created goes to the production with the minimum time spent in the between validation of the value and between the when it brings this value to the user. And a lot of work is done here, but a lot of things we also have to do more, because it's a practice, good practices. There is no solution that you can buy on the market. It's only the processes that you can put in your company and ensure that it will work together. To conclude, I would like to call on four conclusions. First of all, monitoring your machine learning model in production is paramount, is the only way how you can receive the feedback, how does it perform, and if it does has value. You have to version your code, model, data, test your data, test your model, important part, and continuous delivery, continuous training. That's it for me. Thank you very much for your attention, and I'm open to your questions.
So, Iana, thank you very much for this brilliant talk. I really enjoyed this analogy to the car, so because for people who are quite new in the process of productionizing machine learning, this analogy is quite brilliant. So, do we have questions? Beginning, I always had, right, so yeah, so we got kind of feedback that so it was helpful for people in the audience. I have a small question to you, Iana. So you are working on the financial industry on the Banque of France. And they are, I can imagine, it's similar to German bank system. So they are quite of few regulations, right? So, and I can imagine that not every, so not, the model cannot just be shifted into the production. But how can you streamline the process of satisfying the regulatory requirements? Can you automate all of them?
No, you cannot automate all regression. You ask about regression tests and how do we automate regression tests or unit tests?
Right.
We try to.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it's a new culture for sure. Data science is a new culture. I would like just to answer that in facial recognition is not used in Banque de France at all. It's an example from my previous job when I was working at Safran. And that's it. So there is no link, and because it's visual, it's very easy to help with. And because I have a big deal with it about aircraft, I decided it was interesting introduction. So there is no use about face recognition Banque de France, first of all, and it's written everywhere in my presentation. So we try to automate. For sure, you can automate unit tests, and regression tests you try to automate, but for sure there is some limits. Like, for example, we try to, there is a base of tests. For example, we will call data model after each update to ensure that it answers exactly the same as we expect. However, every time we had to add new cases, you know, because if the, for example, perimeter is increased or there are some changes, for sure you have to modify what is expected from the on tests and also if increase. So there is kind of bases that are automized. However, you have to always have a small part to increase the covering tests. It's for non-regression tests. But yes, we for sure we have to test because as a government organization and the part of Eurosystem, we can't allow ourselves to have an errors on this part.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Iana. So anyone, any question?
Ethics, I would just also request on this, what kinds of models are used in banks? Okay, in bank system, we use several. First of all, we have scoring models, but we don't score credits for people. We score the credits for, like, we don't score, we score, we have a model that evaluates the enterprise, the company's possibility to reimburse its credits in horizontal 3 years. So we have a model that we learn from previous historical experience of history of the company about the money that he took credits and how did they reimburse, and about we compare it to the field where does the company works, and afterwards we try to evaluate if it will be capable to reimburse another credit if it takes. It's one of the components. And for sure, as I said at the beginning, Banque de France also treats a lot of transactions for French system, because we Trésor Public for the money that Banque de France receives from the government and from all people who pay these taxes. It's Banque de France who manages the transactions, so we have to take care about the fraudulent transactions like any bank. So this is another application that we have. And ethics, it's also an important point for us. We signed international artificial intelligence inclusive charter, and we would like to be following these rules. And next year we will have audit about ethics and to ensure that we respect everything according to minorities and gender discrimination and things like this. But to be honest, we don't have nowadays a lot of data science applications for individuals. Almost all data science models that we have, they treat like transactions or enterprises or companies. It's not individual. So it's with ethics, we are quite fine. What card is hardest to build because of the data quality, finding best proxy variables or minimizing bias? I think all of them are kind of challenge. All of this data, in fact, we have a lot of data. However, it's important that people would like to share it, and sometimes it's not easy. And it's true with minimizing bias. It's for a while, minimizing bias was complicated in transactions because as you don't have a lot of fraudulent transactions, you have to simulate them. So bias is more evident, is to overcome, is more complicated to overcome. And finding best proxy variables, yeah, sometimes it's complicated, and I think all of these are challenging themselves, and it worth another topic in women in machine learning data science. And affected the kinds of data you can collect and use. GDLS, I'm not sure, but I don't know what is it. General data
Is it
legislation?
GDPR?
Is there GPD? Yes, regulation on data protection. Yes, for sure. Everything. If in bank you use, like in Banque de France, who would like to be an example of usage of data, for sure. Every usage, we ask ourselves questions about people who are using our services, if GDPR is respected. General regulation, GRPD, I think in English, general regulation on data protection. Yes, it's a big deal for us to respect. It's important. There is no way. There is no way not to respect it. That's it. Thank you a lot for questions. If there are any others, I think I have answered.
Thank you very much, Iana.
Thank you for opportunity to speak to you. I'm pleased
Great
very
to
much
have
to
you
be here.
with us. So thank you a lot. So I would like to present our second speaker, who is Christina Grinko. She's a cloud customer engineer at Google, and will tell us about her journey from the management into the tech era, which is quite unusual for us people in tech, women in tech. And so, Christina, the stage is yours.
Thank you very much, Larissa. And I heard you were from Odessa, right?
I am from Odessa, right?
Okay, I'm from Odessa as well. Cool, that's great. Thank you very much, Iana, for your talk. It was amazing, super interesting. And so I'm Ukrainian based in France. I'm actually in Lyon, live in Lyon. But I'm employed by Google, and Google, they don't have an office in Lyon, unfortunately. So I'm most of the time in remote, so I don't take all the benefits from the gym in the office and all this food that they have. But when I go there, I try to benefit the whole day. So and there is a joke about the Google stone, the stomach that's getting bigger because you get some additional weight while your first months at Google. So in Monera, the 3 types of porta at New Google. Okay, wow, impressive. So Paris office is actually super nice. And let me share my screen to talk a little bit about myself and today's topic. Okay, now you hear me because lost the voice. Yeah, sometimes it happens in Zoom when you start sharing the slide. It did just switch off the microphone. Okay, so now you see my slides. Just to present myself, I'm Ukrainian based in France from Odessa. I arrived like 9 years ago, and I did the French-Ukrainian master's degree in Kharkiv. And then there was some kind of agreement between Kharkiv University and Lyon University. So we arrived here with the group of Ukrainian students. We did our internship, and some of them stayed when they get their job offers. So, and I was one of those who stayed. Most of them went to Paris because it was much easier to find a job in Paris when you don't speak French very well. But I tried to do my best to find the job in Lyon because I like Lyon more than Paris. So today I'm a customer engineer at Google, specialized in data analytics. What is customer engineer? It's like pre-sales engineer. For French speakers, it's ingénieur avant-vente. So what does it mean pre-sales engineer in the tech companies, in the tech product companies? It's usually someone who is a sales, but technical sales. So for example, I work with Google Cloud Services, and we have salespeople, business developers as well, and they have the first conversation with the customer. But when they need to go deeper into the details about what exactly the customer needs and what type of services we can propose, then they ask the customer engineers to go into the discussion, and we can do the demonstrations of the services. We can do the POC, proof of concept, the first test of the customer, the first test of our services. So it's like something between a good communicator, but at the same time technical, very technical person who's always up to date with the latest information about the services, who can demo the services, etc. Very interesting job, but I didn't know before what it was, customer engineer. So for me, it was pretty new. And I'm also lecturing in some of the French universities. I was invited by one Ukrainian university as well to lecture next year. So we're discussing currently about our collaboration. And I'm doing, so I'm data analytics master at Master School. It's an interesting Israeli startup. So you can check it out. They propose some interesting courses on data analytics. I did my online course as well. I'm also a facilitator for I'm Remarkable initiative. This initiative helps women to learn how to promote themselves because it's super important for their career growth. And I'm also a conference speaker and organizer. And a little bit about my background. So I did my master's degree, bachelor's degree, sorry, in marketing, so 4 years. It was in Odessa. Then I did my master's degree in business intelligence and statistics. And while I was doing my master's degree, I worked as a digital marketer. So, and that one, I started to show a little bit of interest in digital analytics as well. And when I arrived in France, because I had in my resume, I had the marketing experience, even if I was searching for the internship, in France, they kind of label you very quickly. So you have your marketing in your resume. When I started to apply for data analytics jobs, I didn't have any responses because you're a marketing person. You have nothing to do here. So it was a little bit disappointing for me. I couldn't find the job in data because I was super interested in it. And my master's degree in business intelligence and statistics was more focused on data than marketing. But yeah, I was like, okay, I can continue doing some digital marketing, and then let's see if I can transition from this role to more data role. And when I started to work in one French agency, very small agency in Lyon, I was working as a marketing person, so digital marketer, and I started to deep dive more into digital analytics. And that's when I started discovering cloud as well, because I realized that if you do analytics, doing this nowadays without cloud, it's almost pointless because, well, you need a lot of compute power to work with data, and doing this only with your laptop. So if you're in data, you understand me, it's not super sustainable. It's not possible almost. Well, possible, but it's not super efficient. And so I started being interested more and more in data and in cloud. And then at some point I decided to change my job because I was like, okay, enough of marketing for me. I don't want to do anything with the ads anymore. Let me do something more technical. And yeah, so I prepared actually some tips for you if you search for a job or if you want to change a career. So one tip per slide. And while explaining this tip, I will explain my journey in more detail as well. So maybe you will find something new. Maybe you will find something that you already heard multiple times, which is okay. But I hope you will find something useful for you if you're at the point where you want to change your job or you want to find a new job or to change a career. So first, I was like, I realized that I didn't have a lot of background in data. So somehow I needed to work on my personal branding because I didn't want people to see me as Christina marketing. I wanted people to see me as Christina data, okay? So for me, it was important to work on my personal branding. And I was super lucky to meet a lot of interesting people on my way who helped me to build this personal branding. But these people, I met them through conferences. So being a little bit half introvert, half extrovert person, for me going to the conference, it was out of my comfort zone, and especially talk to new people. It was a little bit challenging. But while going to the conferences, I started with some free conferences like meetups, like today's, for example, meetups, this kind of meetups, or but in real life, or Measure Camp conferences, which are free as well. And I started to talk to people. And then once I also tried to kind of watch the presentation and understand whether I could do one as well. But there's always this imposter syndrome. When you see someone presenting, there is this thought behind, at the back of your head something like, okay, I'm not good enough to present their place. I'm not good enough to share information with others because I don't have anything to share. Or then something I know, it's not super valuable. And at this point of my life, I was discovering Google Cloud and especially Google BigQuery, one product which is used for data warehousing. And when I asked different people to explain me how to start with BigQuery, they did it in a super complicated way. I really didn't get it. I was like, thank you for the comment. No imposter syndrome is allowed. That's true. So I was thinking like, oh my God, they explain it so hard. I mean, it can't be that hard. And in front of me, there were a bunch of technical folks who were explaining, like, because they were doing computer science, they were doing the informatics the whole their life. And I was like, okay, I don't get it. So I started to read a lot about Google BigQuery, like different articles, etc. And at some point I was like, after reading a lot, I literally went to YouTube and I tapped BigQuery and I literally saw every video for the past 2 years about it. I was like, okay, let's understand it. And when I started getting it, I was like, okay, it can be explained easily. So I was like, okay, let's start with the speaking at the conference. And there's MeasureCamp conference where everybody can be a speaker. So when you arrived at this conference, it's usually on Saturday, this conference organized all over the world. You can actually put on the speaker board the paper with your topic and with your name and in what room you will present, because there are different rooms for different sizes of audience. So you can imagine, okay, maybe this topic will interest a lot of people, or you can ask the organizers for advice. So I was super scared, but I decided to do the topic on how to start with BigQuery. And so I was super scared to do that, of course, and I'm glad to have some people around me who encouraged me to do it. And I remember one advice that was given by one of my friends, like, imagine one person that is super courageous, that speaks a lot at different conferences. Imagine this person. And once you go on the stage, imagine that you are this person. Like, now you are this person. You're yourself, you are this person. How would this person do? And I did this trick. It actually helped me a lot. And I presented, and it had a bit of success and shares on social media. So this was my first important step in terms of personal branding. Before that, I actually posted a lot about my certification, my conference participation, not as a speaker, and it helped me quite a lot to have a little bit of audience on LinkedIn, but not that much. And speaking at the conference, it gave me much more audience and then some kind of recognition, because after that, I was invited to write an article for one blog about it, and to do the online course and to speak at different other conferences. So it was like, a snowball. So, and it's something that everyone here can do. Okay, so you take a complicated topic, you can make it easier, you can try to explain it easier and go to the conference and speak about it. It helps a lot. And this personal branding, that actually helped me to add something on my resume that wasn't there from the beginning, something related to data, to a pure technical solution, pure cloud solution, okay? So that helped me to add a bunch of stuff on my resume. So work on your personal branding and try to post regularly on LinkedIn. This is something that I tell my students every time: be visible, make people see you, okay? If there's a small thing, the small certificate, share it on LinkedIn, comment others' posts, ask others to comment your posts. And this is super important. LinkedIn, at least in Europe, works pretty well in Europe and US. So the next thing is that when I wanted to change the job from marketing to something more tech, I first started thinking about what type of company I want to work for. And it's really important because it's super cool to know what you exactly want, because it will help you to filter all this job offer present on the market and focus on something important for you. So do this reflection as nothing was impossible. Okay. Think just what I want. Where do I want to go? Is it Google? Is it Microsoft? Is it Amazon? Is it a startup? Maybe I want to work for a small startup, because in startup there's a huge opportunity to grow quickly with the startup, right? Because whereas in the huge company, you usually go step by step in a very slow mode. So think about what is the type of the company you want to work for. Is it small company, medium company, huge company? What type of industry do you want to work for? And don't ever think like, okay, I don't have any experience in pharmaceutical industry. They will never take me in. Don't think about that. First, think about what you want, and then you will see what are the skills that you like that you need to acquire. So that's what the analysis that I started to work on when I decided to search for a job. And I was like, okay, I was working for a long time in the small agency. When I arrived, we were 5. When I quit, we were 20. So I was like, I really want to work for the huge company. I really want to know how it is to work in a completely opposite thing, where not one person, the founder, decides everything, but there are plenty of different people, plenty of different projects. I want to try what it is. And I also was thinking, like, what are the products that I love the most to use in my everyday job, to use in my what are the products that I respect from the usability point of view, etc. There was a list of companies that I created with the products that I really liked. Because I also decided that I want to try to work for a product company, the company that creates some technical product, like Google, Salesforce, or something like that. Then, of course, what type of job do you want to do? I didn't know what the customer engineer was. Like, I never heard before about the customer engineer role. But when I started to think about the jobs, I was like, who is this person who at the same time technical and need to keep up to date with all the latest technologies, because I love that. But at the same time, this person that not sits just in front of the computer working with data all the day, but the person who talks to people actually, and talks to people, to customers at the beginning of the sales process. And I was like, okay, let's check what's the role is that does that. So I started to kind of check the different job types in the companies, and I found that pre-sales was actually something that pre-sales engineer, something that was suitable for my description. And when I had an idea to apply for the job at Google, I was like, okay, how do we call pre-sales engineer at Google? And I discovered that it was customer engineer. What I did as well is that I went to YouTube, to Medium, and read a bunch of articles and saw some videos with the people who described their work. Because in the big companies like Google, Microsoft, etc., they usually have this video where one person presents their role, their job. Okay, so it's easy to find this kind of videos, and I found some. I liked their explanation, but it wasn't enough for me. I decided also to go and talk to people on LinkedIn. So I contacted a few customer engineers from Google. Of course, some of them didn't respond, because sometimes people on LinkedIn are like, who are you? Why are you talking to me? So some of them responded, and we scheduled a call, and they explained me what was their everyday job and how was it, and did they like it or not, and what are the qualities necessary for this job as well. So it helped me a lot to prepare for with my resume, and to prepare for the interview as well. So I went carefully through the description of this job, and I was like, okay, what are the skills that I don't have? they asked for some cloud knowledge, and I was like, okay, this is something that's doable. You can prepare with the knowledge, right? You have plenty of tools on the internet to learn about something new. So I started from the day just before I actually applied for the job. I started already preparing for the future interview questions. And I started to read more and more about cloud, about different cloud architecture schemas, etc. And watching plenty of videos. I was starting my day with this and ending my day with this as well. So I even dreamt about cloud. So it was a crazy period. And prepare your resume, of course, make it super relevant. But what we forget sometimes to do is to get someone to check your resume as well. You have plenty of people around you, intelligent, brilliant people. They can actually provide you some super useful input on your resume. Don't hesitate to ask them. Every time I think I showed my resume to like 10 or even more people. And every time I showed my resume, they had some feedback. They was like, okay, you need to change this. Okay, you need to. And I was super nervous about it. I was super angry. Like, why everybody wants to change something? But at the same time, once it was ready, it was just perfectly crafted. Because with all this input of all these people, it was just super ready to be sent. So don't forget that you have brilliant people around you. Ask them to check your resume. So I did it in Google Doc, and so they could comment directly in Google Doc. So it's a nice way. It can be in the tools like, I don't know, as Canva, for example, but in Canva, we cannot really comment directly, but still it's a good tool to create resume. So yeah, don't forget to ask people to check it. And what I did as well is ask for the referral. Ask someone to refer you to the company. Check who you know. So I had a list of companies, of known brands, huge companies, and I realized that on LinkedIn I actually had at least one person from this company. So I asked them to refer me, and these people, nobody actually refused to refer me. And it's important to understand that they also, if you're hired, they get the bonus for you. So they get the referral bonus. So sometimes people, if they see your resume, it's quite good, you're a nice person, they will refer you. And if you're hired, they get their bonus. So they're motivated to refer you. Don't hesitate to ask people for that. Sometimes it's when you just apply for the job, it's possible that it won't be seen as fast as if someone actually recommends you, someone refers you. So your network is super important. Don't hesitate to ask. So preparing carefully for the job interview, well, it's not, everybody knows that, right? That you need to read about the company, to read about the role, and also to try to understand what is behind the job description, what they actually want from you, what they want to see in you as person. So if it's customer engineer, of course, they want to see that you're a great communicator, so you're a pleasant person to talk to, but at the same time, you're technical enough to convince the customer about the utility of the product, you can show your knowledge easily. So try to understand what is the list on the recruiter side where they need to make check in front of your name, So, and when you prepare to the job interview, it's also useful to go to Glassdoor and to see how interview happen. Because a lot of people there share their experience, share the examples of questions. Of course, on the internet, you have plenty of articles about how I applied to Google, what types of questions did I have, etc. Also, you have them on Glassdoor. I actually found different recommendations on YouTube, how to prepare for Google's interview. And the same thing for other companies that I apply to. So when you prepare for the job interview, it's not like, oh, I prepared today for tomorrow. It's like you start preparing week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks before. If you have 3 weeks, it's even better. So as much information as you can have about the company, about this role, and if they put the industry in the description, like for example, I applied for customer engineer in public sector. I didn't know anything about public sector. I've never worked with public sector before, and it's a specific area. So I needed to prove that I know something about public sector as well, about some regulations, legislations, about, for example, the possibility for public sector to use cloud. Is it allowed or not, etc. So I tried, and especially I applied in France, so regulation super strict about public cloud. So, and I actually discovered that there was an online conference that was recorded from Google Cloud specifically about public sector. So I went through all those videos to show during the interview, like by accident, you know, that I knew about this and that. And they were like, oh, okay, you're aware of that? So they see that I checked their current agenda about public sector. So, and of course, you can get no's, right? So sometimes, despite everything you've done, and usually remember that it's like 80% is your preparation, 20% is luck, of course, because maybe you get to talk to a person which is not in good mood today. It's a moody, greedy, not greedy, but a grumpy person that's not happy today, and they just hate everyone, so that they will note you in a bad way, and you will fail the interview. It happens sometimes. You're not lucky with the, and I had this interviews with the grumpy people that from the beginning they decided that they don't want me, and like no matter how you prepared, it won't help. So, but don't make this discourage you. Okay, it's okay. You just continue. You just apply to a new job. It happens sometimes. It just, the preparation is not enough. But you need to make sure that this 80%. You nailed it, that you've done everything on your side to make it happen. And then if they don't want you, well, it's bad for them. You continue, you continue applying. And I think that's it from my side. I just wanted to share you the two things, my LinkedIn link, because let's add each other and let's stay in contact, because it's important, and like each other's posts as well. And I wanted to share with you as well the article I wrote about the job search, and just in case it might be handy. So it actually repeats a lot of these tips. And there are also a few more tips shared by Beata in the chat. Thank you very much for that. Yes, sharing references on LinkedIn is super important as well. Cool. Thank you very much. If you have any questions, please ask them.
Amazing, Christina, just amazing. I think you are the definition of female empowerment in tech. So thank you very much for this brilliant presentation, and you know, so I can feel you. So this was like Anastasia told, so no imposter syndrome. So this is the part of the Women in Machine Learning and Data Science. All of the chapters, so the empower and encourage other members or women to achieve our goals, to create bigger ambitions and pursue bigger ambitions in our professional and personal life. So this is so you are a great example of this.
Thank you, Larissa.
Of this mission, Christina. And so I really enjoying the cheering in the audience, in the chat. So how people say, so how they enjoy the presentations. And thank you very much for that. So this is very important, especially today for all of us. Do we have questions? Yeah, Beata, you're never too old for a career change. Yes, thank you very much for this. This is also so. Romain, thank you for a great presentation, Christina. So hiring manager. Oh, we have a hiring manager here. It's 100% what you said. Yes, absolutely. Thank you very much for this remark, Romain. So if you are looking for a job, so you are interviewing company as well. So just be that confident and know that you are unique. You have unique experience. You have unique know-how. You have a unique hard and soft skills. Just keep in mind. So the Women in Machine Learning Data Science Global is feeling very prepared for the next career change, but please don't leave us, okay? Yes. You see, everyone got motivated and empowered so by your presentation, Christina, and I think this is amazing, and this is what we do. So, other specific questions to Christina from the audience? I don't see, but everyone is like feeling cheered and motivated by your talk, Christina. Great. Thank you very much again. So
thank you.
So let's continue with our co-organizer of this Ukrainian chapter, Anastasia, and she's a co-founder and CTO of Data Unblocked Incorporation and Myriad Tech Incorporation, and she will present today on difficult and important talk about Ukraine. Anastasia, the stage is yours.
Thank you. I think I will try to have a little bit of very small light talk before jumping into this very serious one. So I would just say that imposter syndrome is real. That is why I'm so affirmative. I'm from the East. I'm from Kharkiv. So I have been living in 6 or 7 different countries, 16 or 20 different cities. I'm currently in Canada, consulting the government of Canada on AI. I started 3 companies. I did clinical research. I have 3 master's degree, 2.5. But still every time it's, like there is something here, like there is something wrong, you're not this, you're not that. So just as a reaffirmation after the talk, our second speaker, that just believe in yourself and sky's the limit is actually true. And one of my biggest desires has always been to bring more females and minorities, marginalized communities to tech. From the age of 18, I have been working in male-dominated industries in whatever language you can imagine, pretty much, and different countries. So just believe in yourself, and I do have a connection to machine learning, women in machine learning and data science Paris, because 8 months ago, I presented about war in Ukraine. Unfortunately, we can't still talk about it in past tense. 1 second, let me share. Yeah. So in order to kind of kick off this very, sensitive topic to all of us, specifically those people who are Ukrainians, who have families in Ukraine, I decided to actually have same format symbolically and hopefully for the last time. So I will structure this presentation and this talk as following. So there are 3 different parts. So first of all, I would love to explain the background information about Ukraine and the labor market, show some extraordinary examples of success inside and outside of Ukraine, of Ukrainians. Then I would like to talk about this sensitive topic and shine the light on the war in Ukraine, present some official statistics, some facts, and some recent achievements and some recent interesting recognitions, and also to recognize the support and our partners, and also mention the geopolitical state and the influence of this war. And lastly, I would talk a little bit about machine learning and how machine learning can actually help to win the war. So I think that this quote actually represents, truth that first of all, our environment matters, and this is what actually shapes us a lot. So Ukraine. Let me tell you a little bit about Ukraine, and maybe you will find some information that you haven't heard before. So first of all, Ukraine is the biggest country of Europe, and geographical center of Europe is actually located in Ukraine. And I think all of you in high school learned that during the first lesson in geography. Ukraine has always been a very important country geopolitically, but also culturally and economically. So for instance, one of the first constitutions was created in Ukraine. Kyiv Mohyla Academy is considered to be the first institution in Eastern Europe. Also, in general, Ukraine is the center of educational excellence, and we have 846 higher institutions, which for reference is 4 times more than in the United Kingdom. And population of Ukraine is among the most educated people in the world, and Ukraine was ranked the 4th highest country with people who have higher degrees, like bachelor degree or master's degree. So obviously this sets up the tone and determines a lot of characteristics of the labor market. So for instance, Ukraine has more than 20 million people in active labor force, and we traditionally also have quite strong entrepreneurial spirit. So based on the official Ukrainian statistics as of early of this year, there are about 1.9 million registered business entities in Ukraine. And we also have, I find this very interesting, that we have approximately 200 to 120,000 professionals within the IT industry that are located or scattered among were scattered among 5 biggest cities of Ukraine, making Ukraine one of the biggest hubs of IT excellence in Europe and globally. And also there are more than 400 startups officially with numerous unicorns and recognized entrepreneurs and founders. And what's most interesting is, despite the war, the number is actually increasing with even more prizes and recognition internationally, both in Europe and in other parts of the world. So now the fun part. So for example, WhatsApp founder has Ukrainian roots, as well as the CTO of PayPal. Some other remarkable companies include People AI, Preplay, GitLab, Grammarly. I'm sure pretty much every one of us used Grammarly at least once in our lives. But also Reface. This company made a huge splash, and it was highly, highly recognized by Elon Musk. I don't know if it's a good thing right now or not, but at least before. And also many more amazing companies and people who stand behind those companies. war is a defeat for humanity, and I 100% agree with this statement. Ukraine has been at war with Russia for the last 8 years, and after Maidan and the fallen Heavenly 100, Russia annexed Crimea and started the war in Donbass. So no peace agreement was kept as a part of Budapest Memorandum, where Russia was one of the guarantees for Ukrainians' withdrawal of the third arsenal of nuclear power in the world, or the Minsk agreement, more recent ones. And Russia started a full-scale war at 5 a.m. on 24th of February 2022. And I really urge everyone, especially our international friends, to not call it a conflict and call it as it is, because it's not a conflict, it's a war. And it has been officially confirmed that 6,755 civilians were killed, and among them 424 children. And unfortunately, this number will be much higher because of the numerous occupied cities and villages and territories that are currently in blockage in Ukraine, and they're still not liberated. And as you can see on this slide, and this is not the most recent statistic because it's really unfortunately hard to still compile the data, that the damage to the infrastructure is really unprecedented, is more than $100 billion, with hospitals, kindergartens, universities, and private houses being destroyed. And this number actually, like this 3 billion, doesn't include the recent estimations based on the recent attacks, severe attacks on the energy infrastructure. So I was doubting if to include this and keep that slide, because I showed it a very similar slide once, but I do think that it's still important to show that although people are not calling, Russian army one of the greatest anymore, but still a lot of numbers are being kept hidden, or they're not publicly, disclosed, to show that these are the current numbers, like real numbers. This is what's going on in Europe, what's going on in the world, and also to show how brave and how courageous Ukraine is, and how it could, I wouldn't say compete, but protect our land, and to beat once called the second largest army in the world. So since the war started, more than 16 million people crossed the border of Ukraine, mostly females with children. And as soon as it becomes safer in the villages and the cities and less airstrikes, a lot of people actually return back. So you can see that based on the official UN statistics, more than 8 million, so half of people return back. And also based on the UN survey, you can see that 86% of people are females, those who fled, and majority of them were within the age band of 35 to 59 and quite educated with at least secondary degree, vocational training, or university or couple or PhD degrees. So the bravery of Ukrainians was recognized by the major organizations, including calling Ukraine Country of the Year. So this was released today. It's by The Economist. The President of the Ukraine and the Spirit of the Ukrainian People, the Person of the Year by the Times Magazine. Ukraine was awarded Sakharov Prize, Liberty Medal, and the Nobel Prize. But I would love to stop here for a second and also to recognize our partners, our friends, people who are not scared, who are not afraid to talk, who are actively, share, translate, talk, call politicians, push politicians, create different events, raise money and help. So we really see it, we really appreciate that. At least this is my personal opinion. I know that based on my personal story and the story of everyone in my life. So I just wanted to recognize that. And also this event is also the testament for that, because I see a lot of names that are not typically, Ukrainian, Eastern European. So it means that there are international people at this talk, and it's really heartwarming, and thank you for your support. Here I decided to show the result of the United Nations resolution. It was early of March, but it shows how the countries were voting and how things have kind of, changed and evolving, how they started. And so the invasion of Russia and the full-scale war marks a defining moment in the reshaping of the geopolitical order. And the war in Ukraine is not just another war. It's not a local war. It's not the civil war. It's the war that will reshape the world as we know currently. And based on the research that I did, trying to be unemotional and trying to see what actually people who work with geopolitics and political science are saying, to present a couple of things or a couple of ways how this war will change the geopolitical situation and the world how we know it. So first of all, the war will obviously bring a new division of Europe. So one of the tasks and the goals of Russia has been to prevent Ukraine strategically from, joining European Union, joining NATO, because usually when you do have war, active war on your territory, you can't. So kind of to create the buffer between, as they say, the West and the rest. That, but at the same time, it gives a signal that this war is the end of the post-Cold War order as we know it, that this renewed focus on Europe and the security within Europe as a whole will constrain the US tilt to Asia. So by having to divert diplomatic resources to deal with, the war as we know it now in Europe, it's kind of stopping USA in a sense from and bringing more challenges in terms of diplomacy to stop the rise in China politically and economically, and kind of to it's also introducing challenges to preventing China coinciding with Russia. The war in Ukraine also showed us that the global arms race is accelerating and the pace is accelerating, and also that the war in Ukraine might actually embolden others and other places to inflame existing conflicts and the conflicts, the wars that were idle for the longest time. And we know a couple of places like this, including Taiwan and China, including Kosovo, and we see some changes in the Balkan area right now. But also, besides all the things that I mentioned and all the monetary and emotional support, ammunitions, and support of our partners, Ukraine has also improved strategically and developed an unprecedented level of technologies as well to become victorious faster and support different critical infrastructures, but also to support people. So we would have a full detailed presentation next year on on how machine learning can help to win the war and present with more technical details, but I just want to kind of show a teaser and just mention a couple of examples. Two of them are within computer vision, and one of them, sorry, it's a little bit lagging, and one of them within conversational AI. So facial recognition is currently being used on the territory of Ukraine to detect the war criminals and also undercover agents, and to help to take measures faster. Also, as you might have seen on one of the slides, that the current estimation is that because of the theft of the grain and also the stolen and occupied territories and the war itself, Ukraine lost about $250 billion in agricultural potential production. And so computer vision also helps to detect the stolen grain, not only to detect, but also to prove that it was stolen. And the third very interesting application, every Ukrainian knows the application DIA. So conversational AI is now helping to collect the information in real time on people who are traitors, intruders, who are committing various types of crimes. So people are encouraged to safely submit information on occupiers through this chat that is called eVorok, through this application. So this is one of the boldest and latest attempts of the Ministry of Digital Transformation of Ukraine to assist with technology to be victorious faster. So that's all for me. And I'm happy to take your questions. Really try to make it as non-sensitive, non-teary as possible, just presenting the official statistics. So all the information is official on the slides, and I'm happy to provide more information if someone wants to understand more. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Anastasia. Thank you very much for all your numbers and for actually doing this difficult talk. So you are truly brave, like Ukraine. So yes, this is important to know all the numbers, and important to know that this is for the first time in the human history. This is a technological war, and Anastasia already gave us a teaser of the talk we preparing together with Anastasia for the next year. So we will analyze the use cases where machine learning, artificial intelligence, data science helping us to win this war. So we will present the technology behind it. We will present the use cases which are actually useful, and so to get an inspiration how everyone actually can help. Slava Ukraini.
Героям слава.
Героям слава, yes. Does someone have a question to Anastasia, or to me, or to anyone here in the audience?
I would like to say thank you for raising our awareness about those topics, and looking forward to seeing the next event, and waiting for the past tense in your presentations.
Yes, thank you, Agnieszka. Yes. Right. Okay, so I don't see many questions, and I suppose it's quite late, especially for your opinion. Yes, first of all, I'm so energized right now. So I have more energy right now than I started these meetup 2 hours ago, and it's just so great to see all of you here. So all of your support and all your the Poznań, Paris. So I don't know, the solidarity among us is just unbelievable, and it gives me the motivation to continue. I think the Anastasia can agree with me. So we will create more meetups. We will invite all of you to us, and yes, thank you very much for all of your support, everyone. Yes, and we had we had Erin shortly in the first part of our meetup. She showed up and said hello and listened to the first talk, and this is quite remarkable to all of us. So thank you very much, Erin, for joining us. Yes. Well, I would say it was a success. Thank you very much for making it happen. It was a great meetup, first kickoff of the Ukrainian chapter. So we will do next year. We will do more. We will do again, and join us on the meetup page. So we will inform all of you about the upcoming events. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Big hug to all of you, and
Thank you.
And Slava Ukraini.
Героям слава.
Героям слава.